Well, I'll just lead off, and you all know me, and thanks for this opportunity. And you all know that I'm a doctor, and doctors like to take histories. So I'm just gonna ask my friend Ramadan some questions. And the main focus of tonight's conversation will be about mental health in the prison system. But before we get to that, I'm going to ask Ramadan just some questions about his background and upbringing, and then of course we'll be happy to take all of your questions. So tell everybody where you were born.
Well, I was born in Washington, D.C. at the time. I was born September 09/11/49, and my parents was from the South. I was raised in the South for the first 10 years of my life. In the South in the 50s, you all know the history. I have to tell you that. And we moved up here, I think 60, 61. I went to elementary school here. Graduated from Jamaica Plain High, 1968. Drafted in 1968.
Okay, so before we get to drafted, so how many brothers and sisters did you have?
Oh, wow. My family had, there's 8 of us, all total 6 sons and 2 daughters.
Okay. And you went through high school, and then how is it that you came about to be drafted to Vietnam?
Well, my number came up. My draft number came up, and being a good citizen, my father was in World War II. My grandfather was in World War I. I had an uncle that was in Korea. So it was only natural that I go. And that's where I was. I was drafted in September '69, and had to go to fight a war that at the time that being a 20-year-old kid, you do what's being told.
And before we go on, I just want to make sure, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Can everyone hear Ramadan okay?
I can talk louder.
Yeah.
I can talk louder.
Probably just speak a little bit louder.
Okay.
So how was your experience in Vietnam different than what you anticipated?
Much different, because of the training that we had for the time back then, 1969, was how to survive. And when I got to Vietnam, you really had to put it into practice, how to survive. But I wasn't expecting what I was expecting when I got there in the first place. I was on a DMZ zone right underneath the North Vietnam. I was closest to the DMZ zone. In fact, we camped there. You could have put the binoculars and see them marching, whatever they're doing, and they can see us doing what we're doing. So it was really that close. And I didn't go out to the bush, into the jungle. I was on a base, but at the base, we received a lot of incoming rounds, and they hit various things and hit people. And after it's all over, we have to go pick up the pieces, and literally pieces. And I brought all that home, my sight, my heart, and all my losses that I knew, good friends that was wounded terribly. I was a clerk, by the way, too. I had to type the letters up for the families, mothers and fathers. Dear Mrs. Smith, sorry to say your son was killed on this day in a battle with so-and-so, so-and-so, and he died bravely. And then the captain or colonel would sign the paper. And I went, like I said, with the training, be a clerk. We had about 40 different letters we can send out to the families when a son or a daughter was killed or wounded or maimed or lost, missing in action. So we had all the bases covered for whatever harm came to that person's son or daughter.
Let me ask you this. So what was your experience with drug use in Vietnam?
Well, up until then, I never was used drugs before. I was a straight kid. I worked at the Boston Gas Company. I had a great job back then. Right out of high school, making $120, $150 a week. Back then in the 60s, $150 a week was good money, as some of you well know. Maybe more, but to me, a kid like me, $150 every week, hey, that was good money. Car, I was married to this other lady, had our own place, and we go anywhere we wanted to go. Didn't have no children at the time. And I was drafted from that. But the drug problem started there because seeing what I was seeing and experience what I was experiencing, I'd never seen an experience before. So for me, the company was drugged out. Everyone, mostly everyone were drug addicts. The commanders, they really didn't care. We could make phone calls home, back to the community, we call it the world, back to the world, to our families. And a lot of the mothers and wives and fathers and uncles was telling their sons, stop fighting, we're trying to get your boys home. Stop fighting, don't fight anymore, stop it. You know, we don't want to see any more killed. We're tired of seeing those boxes come home with flags draped over them, you know. And, you know, being, you know, in the service and your parents telling you not to do something, and you could see the destruction that was happening, you tend to go with what your parents be saying.
So what, when you came back from Vietnam, back to the US, what drugs were you addicted to?
Well, I was there in Vietnam, I used heroin, LSD, and marijuana.
And when you came back to the US, what kind of help was available to you to deal with your drug problem?
Well, back at that time, I have to say honestly, I didn't know of any place. I went to the Veterans and JP Hospital looking for help. I came across two doctors, and I told them my problem, what I was going through, what I was feeling, and things like that. Couldn't sleep. And they said, well, what kind of drugs are you on? I said, well, I'm on LSD, heroin, and marijuana. So they looked at each other. They couldn't say anything because they were stunned that I told them what I was on. They wanted to give me some meds, but they didn't say anything. I just got up from the table and just walked out of the room, because if you was going to help me, hey, you got to stop doing that. We got a place to put you somewhere here, calm you guys down. And one thing they did say that struck me very, very deeply is that one of the doctors said, we know there's something wrong with you young guys, but we don't know what it is. And at that time, a lot of Vietnam veterans were returning home having problems, difficulties of trying to adjust what we was doing, where we were. And the government didn't help us at all. The state didn't help us at all until 1980 when the PTSD came out, but it was too late for a lot of us. We was already in prison.
So speaking of prison, what were the circumstances that took you to prison?
Well, being a drug addict at that time, you do stupid stuff. And unfortunately, 2 men lost their lives during a robbery. As you all know, I was convicted and sentenced to the death row. I was on death row. And I spent 51 years there. Just recently got out of jail in March of prison. Thanks to this man right here and his family.
A lot of people.
40 years I've known this family, and I wasn't looking forward or looking at this back then when I first became introduced to this family. And now I'm sitting in the house, you know, walking up and down the stairs, riding in the car, eating food, seeing visitors, meeting all of you all good people. You know, it's just I would say a dream, but it's not. I know it's real. So I thank every last one of you for all the support and help and the goodness that you have given me and shown me. And I really feel it every time I see you all get together. I mean, I don't talk like I'm an educated person. I'm a down-to-earth person. That's when I say you all that meet all of us. And some of the language I use, you probably haven't heard before, but it's not going to be disrespectful.
But you're a little bit humble because you actually are pretty educated, because tell everybody how it is that you came to get a bachelor's degree and a master's degree from BU while in prison.
Well, at that time, in 1976, there was two ladies, beautiful ladies. One was named Ma Barker, God bless her soul. She was in charge of the Boston University Metro College program, which comes to the prison, which I was in Norfolk at the time. And there was another lady named, God bless her, was Kit Bryant. She was a UMass, University of Massachusetts coordinator. So they had two colleges in Norfolk at that time, and you could get involved with both. And one day I'm walking around a quad, and inside Norfolk is a big quad, big area, like a big track. You can't run on it, but you can walk on it. And I'm walking one day, and I heard the principal at the school, which was named College of Meany. He said, "Hey, Ramadan, I want to talk to you. Come up to the school for a minute." So I wandered up to the school, not knowing what to expect. I didn't even know the two ladies I've just mentioned. Walking to the office, they were sitting there, and one of them said, was Miss Barker, Ma Barker, we call her Ma Barker. Her name was Elizabeth Barker. Some of you may know her. She said, "How would you like to go to Boston University and get a college degree?" I said, "What? College degree? How can I get that in here? You know, we got programs for for people like you who wants to challenge. And Kent Bryan said the same thing with UMass. So I said, well, is it free? Do I have to pay for it? They said, no, it's all free. All you have to do is attend and keep up your grades. And I did. And in 1980, I graduated from Boston University with a bachelor's degree. And in the process, I graduated with a teacher certificate from UMass, 2-year college. So, and then in 1995, after the DOC brought us back from the Willie Horton incident, I'm in Bay State, I had a chance to get a master's degree. So, I'd be humble. I don't like, putting it out there, but if I'm asked, I'll tell you. If I'm not asked, I'll just be a humble person.
Well, I did ask you, so.
And you got it
in
out.
fairness. So before we talk about the mental health in the prison system, just tell everybody a little bit about how our family met you.
Oh, yeah, I love to tell that story. As you know, Rich married Chrissy Stryker, now Parker. And Mrs. Chrissy's mother used to come to Lancaster for programs like fellowship programs, alternative violence programs. Her and her friends come up just about every day of the week, Monday through Friday. And, I met her there. And the strange thing happened, how I guess she focused in on me was we was having a meeting one night, and this was during football season. And I was in the corner, she was trying to explain what we were going to do for the night, what kind of topic and things like that. So I'm talking in the corner with 3 other men, and I'm talking about, you should have bet that game, man, because I bet $25 on it. I won that. You should get that. So she like looked in the corner. I seen the peripheral, and she started talking some more, and I just kept talking. And she said, excuse me, may I ask you a question? Yeah, sure, why not? What's your name? I said, well, my name is Ramadan, but they call me Stretch. Stretch? Yes, ma'am. Can I call you Stretch? Yes, ma'am. She says, Stretch, could you do me a favor? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Everybody's in the room, about 15, 20 people there. She said, could you come sit by me? I'm saying, no. I'm good. I'll sit here, So the guys edge me on. So, old lady, what is she going to do to you? so, of course, I have to go sit there. But I didn't sit close to her. There was a seat open. She was here, seat open, I was here. So I sit the seat that was open. She said, no, I want you to sit right here, close to me. So I said, well, I'm right here. I'm comfortable. I shouldn't have to come any further, do I? She said, yeah, I want you right here. So I slide over. Now she started a program all over again, what's going to happen. And she says, and we're going to start with the opening statement on what I just said was, she looked around the room, and looked around the room again and looked at me and said, we're going to start with Stretch. Stretch, lead us off tonight. And I went, I don't know what she was talking about. She said, well, that's what I'm talking about. When I'm talking, you listen to what I have to say. Okay? Can I get that respect? I said, yes, ma'am, you got it. No problem, you have that. And from that point on, she became my friend. And it led to all of this. I was introduced to her daughter, my granddaughter, Louisa, at the age of 9. And Louisa now is 25 years old. So I've been knowing her 16 years of her life, basically all our life.
Right. So just for the record, so my mother-in-law, Marjorie, met Ramadan in 1983. So our families have been affiliated for 40 years.
Yeah.
And so let's focus a little bit on mental health, because that's something at NAMI that's what brings us together. Exactly. That's the theme of what we all deal with in our own families, and we try to help other people. So what led you to be interested in mentally ill people in prison? What got to you to be interested? Well,
as I say, I was in Lancaster pre-release center. That was in Lancaster, Mass, next to Clinton, Mass. And it was a minimum security setting. And I was offered to go to work at Worcester State Hospital, which is in Worcester, Mass. Like I say, at one time, the DOC allowed lifers with a lot of time in to go out into the communities and do various work, various jobs, parks, cemetery, communities, things like that. So I was chosen to go to Worcester State Hospital. So I said, sure, I'll go there, not knowing what to expect. We had a few days of training, and I got on the wards and started walking around. And at that particular time in my life, I'd never seen so many mentally ill people in one place. So that kind of affected me, greatly, because I was once like that, but I didn't know what it was. it was post-traumatic stress disorder. I didn't find it out until 1980. But now moving on, I looked and said, damn, these people need help too, like I did need help. So I got involved. I put myself to the grindstones, they said, and try and learn relationships with various people who have mental health problems.
And how did you learn how to connect with these people?
First, I showed patience. I mean, and to me, when you're working with someone who has mental illness or mental health problems, you have to have patience to sit down and endure what they may be going through. That's number one. Because I saw in my experience is that when you show anyone patience, especially someone with mental illness, patience, they tend to think, I think, they appreciate you sitting there, listening to them, ranting and raving, whatever they're saying. They appreciate that because no one takes the time to do that. Everyone's trying to put them in a, Johnny, you're like this, Mary, you're like this. No, just let Johnny and Mary be Johnny and Mary. And that worked because I seen where sitting down listening, not trying to suggest this or that, just listening to them. I learned about how their families, the medications they've been on, how long they've been there, other little things that if I was like a clinician or a doctor, I wouldn't have known. And that carried me over to an opportunity to work at Bridgewater State Hospital. And there I worked there for 8 years. Oh, by the way, I worked for 3.5 years at Worcester State Hospital. So I had experience. So when it came time for Bridgewater State Hospital, I had abundance of experience. There was the place where men would go for the Department of Corrections at that time. And I was there in 2009 to 2017 when Governor Baker closed it down. But during my 8 years there, I've seen a lot of men hurting. And at that time, the staff didn't know how to really deal with them. And the DOC, they just lock them up and punish them. And being realistic, they just locked them up because they couldn't handle them in that sense of the word. Being at Worcester State Hospital, Bridgewater State Hospital, they came up, the deputy superintendent and this lady named Peg Newman and Kathy Evers, and the deputy superintendent at the time was Cameron McDonough, came up with a program called Companion Program. And I was one of the first guys chosen. And the Companion Program was like where you get a chance to be assigned to someone with mental health problems and you work with that person. You show them how to hygiene, you take walks with them, you go to programs with them, you have conversations with them. If they didn't know how to fill out their canteen list, you help them out with that.
Now, can I ask you, so you mentioned the word hygiene.
Yeah.
I think I remember you telling the story about one prisoner who had a lot of troubles with hygiene that nobody could deal with.
Oh, yeah.
And you helped him out, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you tell everybody about that patient?
I'll share that. This particular person they assigned me to, the first guy I had in the companion program, he didn't take showers. He hated water. He thought the water was poison, all kinds of things jump out of him with the water. So he didn't take showers. So when I was introduced to him, you can smell. Whoa, you're giving me this guy? I'm seeing it myself. They said, we need you to work with this guy, get in the showers. I said, I don't know, all right, I'll give it a try. So now over a period of time, it took time, but he was a guy who slept all the time under the covers, during the summertime, wore blankets, hot, stinking, you know. So I would come over and see him, he would be on his covers. I said, hey, I'm over here, wanna talk today or something? Nah. I said, okay, if you wanna talk and you finish, come over outside into the day room. I'll be out there talking to the other guys. So he got whiff of that. Over a period of time, he started getting up out of his bed. Over a period of time, he came in there one day, he saw me interacting with the other patients. Then he says, one day he comes out, I called him, yeah, we sitting down in the day room. He says, blah, 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 blah. One of the guys, hey, Ramadan, hey, Stretch, can I talk to you? Yeah, sure. My companion said, hold it. He's my companion, you guys don't talk to him. He's my companion. So that right there gave me an opening, I thought, to deal with him. And I'm a Muslim, so it was time for us to have our Eid feast. We had the 30 days of Ramadan. So I'm saying to myself, how can I get this guy that comes to our Eid and eat a nice meal, lamb and all like that? So I asked the Imam, can he come? He said, sure. So I said, all right, let me try this. So I go into the maximum where he was. I said, hey, so-and-so, you know, we're having our Eid meal today. 2 days from now, we'd like to come. Yeah. I said, but you can't come smelling like you're smelling, because you come into the room smelling like that, people's not gonna eat, so you gotta take a shower. Gotta take a shower, all right? So he looks at me strangely. He says, you gotta take a shower, man. In order for you to go, you gotta take a shower. You don't take a shower, you're not going to eat. And I'm not gonna take it on and smell it like this. So you make the call. So I went away, come back the next day. I said, the feast the next day, which is a Thursday. This was a Wednesday. I said, you gonna take a shower? Yeah, okay. All right. Tomorrow, I'm coming over. So tomorrow came, I come down, I said, you in the shower? So when I got there, the COs was running the unit, said, hey, Mama, see what? He's in the shower. What? He's in the shower. No, he's not. He's in the shower. There's someone in the water. Go see. So wait a minute. I'm not going to see a naked guy. He said, well, in order for you to find out that he's taking a shower, you have to see he's in the water, because some of those guys turn the water on and stand to the side and let the water run. You think they're showering and they're not showering. So, oh man, I got to go look at a guy butt naked taking a shower. He said, well, you got to be sure. So I said, okay, CEO, I'll take a look. Yeah, okay, he's taking a shower. Are you sure? Yeah, he's in there. He got soap and everything. So he come out, half hour he stayed in the shower that day, half hour. So he comes out, so I said, I got to give him something else to make him feel like he did a good thing by taking a shower. In Islam, we have Muslims oils. So I brought some of that down for him. I said, hey, put this on. He's with it. It smells good. I said, yeah, put it on. The beard, like that. You put it on bed. He said, really? He said, yeah, go ahead. So he put it on like this, on his clothes, brand new clothes, by the way, too. Brand new shoes, socks, everything. Everything was clean. He was clean. He had long hair, so his hair was nice and clean, shiny, everything. So I said, why can't you be like this all the time, man? Take a shower, smelling good. He looked at me and smiled. He says, I think I might start doing that. I said, you feel better too, don't you? He said, yeah, let's go eat. And we went and ate and had a good meal. The brothers appreciate him, the imam appreciate him. I appreciated what he did. And continue on, end it right here. I'll go down and see him sometimes. Guy's in the shower. He's taking showers now. The CEO said, hey, Mama, I don't know how you did it, but this guy in the shower just about every day. I said, thank you. So I go down one day expecting to see him. They released him. He's gone. Never heard of his name again. And he lives in Cambridge. So I haven't heard of his name, and I know his name because he's got one of those strange, funny names. And while I was in Bridgewater at the time, and then it's been some time in Old Colony, I never heard his name again. So I guess he must have became straight. So I that's one of my achievements, I thought. And I believe in that I did the right thing at that particular time for that right person. So It's just basically letting them know that, hey, I've been where you are, even though yours may be a little worse than what I had, but we're in the same boat. No matter if I was male or female.
So that's a wonderful story. And, I love what you said about learning how to listen to people, because we all know that a lot of our job, probably the biggest part of our job, is listening well. So why don't we pause for a second, see if anybody on the group tonight has questions. I have lots more questions I could ask Ramadan, but let's pause and see what questions our friends have. So you can unmute and just go ahead and shout it out.
Bring it on. I'm here for you.
I guess my question, Ramadan, it's great to see you again. Where did you learn about just kind of meeting people with the mental health illness, in their reality? That is something I actually learned in the NAMI program, but listening to you talk, that skill that you had, where did you pick that up? Did you have any type of training, or was that just something that came with your patients?
Well, I was in a youth program in early days of Walpole called Reach Out. I met some good people that came in and gave us training. These kids were from DYS and Roxbury and Rosendale at the time. Tough kids. They had a lot of mental problems too, but at that time in 72, 73, people wasn't talking about mental illness. They looked at you as though you was a curse or a taboo or something. So they brought these kids up every week to talk to the various inmates at Walpole. And I learned just to sit down and listen to what they had to say. They had a lot to say about a lot of things. And, you know, as I'm sitting there listening to them tell their story, their life story, their parents, whatever, you know, I didn't criticize them. I didn't like try and overtake the conversation. I didn't try and take their spotlight from them. I just sit down and let them be themselves. And I found that as my experience at Worcester State Hospital and then Bridgewater State Hospital, for me, that's the best thing to do. What's top? Let it out. What you got to say? Because I know everyone has something to say, especially people in mental illness, because if it ain't anything else, it's their meds. If anything, it's the meds they're on. The doctor got me on this med. They got me on that med. I don't like it, you know. And you try and sit there and just let them vent it out. More so than trying to pick up something up and hurt someone. You've been I'm the sounding board. Throw it on me. I can take it. And I found out for me that's the best way to do it. I work with kids with autistic children. The same thing. Just be humble. Respect them as a person, as a human being, whether it's male or female, senior citizen or not. Just respect them as a people, because I've seen and learned over the years when people say this person got a mental illness. Oh, gee, I'm gonna get away from him. You know, they do. Public do that. You know, not all, but public do that. That person, like today, I'll give an example. I'm on a train coming in tonight here, and there was this girl, autistic girl there, and she was like doing her thing on the phone, and I could see the people who was in the train on the trolley with us looking at her like some kind of way. And I'm looking at them, looking at her. I says, "Hey, man, I want to say what I want to say, but I can't because it's the public." And may lead to something. So I just sit there looking at her. I wanted to go say hi, whatever, but you know, I'm in society, you just can't do that. You know, you have to be humble. So I just, they just didn't respond to her like they should have. They looked me and I, and I don't like that. So
No,
it hurts me to see that we as a human being do that to another human being who may need help mentally or spiritually, you know? So
one quick question I have for you. How did you deal with the PTSD, which at the time when you had it, nobody was diagnosing. So you never kind of explain how you sort of overcame some of that. I mean, I mean, obviously I know you were in prison, but how did you overcome with your own issues of the PTSD?
Well, like I said, I was in Walpole in 1972. When I got to Walpole in 1972, there was older inmates that had been in 15, 20 years already. And I was like a likable person back then. You know, I was a young kid, you know, first time in prison, never done anything before in my life. And in the old days back then, if an older guy seen you trying to handle yourself very well, carry yourself very well, they pull you to the side and give you some school year. And listen to them and seeing things around the Walpole at the time, I took their advice. Now, I could have been a knucklehead and been like the other knuckleheads. But I said, no, this guy taking the time to speak with me and talk to me, there must be something about this. So I just shut up and listen. And by the process of listening and hearing different older guys talking to me, I started seeing myself. I started coming down, but at the time, I was still using drugs. I won't bull jive you. I was still on drugs because Walpole at the time was like a drugstore. You can get any kind of drug you want. But again, being in the Reach Out program, talking to young kids, helped me with my PTSD. I didn't know I had it. At the time, 1972, 73, 70, people didn't know what PTSD was. I didn't know in 1980. So people taking a liking to me, like I say, get me into the college program, took the time to help me get through that and call me and spend time with me, the teachers and the professors that I met. You know, I was taking psychology courses too, because I want to understand what happened to me. And things started coming a little bit better. And then 1980, one of the counselors there at Norfolk, the name was, I can't think of her name now. She put out a all points bulletin. She said, all Vietnam veterans, you have to be in country. You have to bring in MD, DD-214 and prove that you was there. So about 75 or 80 guys come. So we're in the biggest classroom Norfolk had. And she said, does anyone here know what post-traumatic stress disorder was? Well, she said PTSD. There's about 75 guys there. One guy raised his hand up, said it's about something, a mental kind of problem. That's all he could say. said, yeah, it's something like that. Then she went on and elaborated some more. And then she brought up 4 gentlemen from the Veterans Administration in downtown Boston. Veterans Administration come up, and they said, mainly those for PTSD was the change we went through. So one of the guys in the group said, look, if you all would have had this knowledge out, say when we return home, the crime that we committed, will we have committed those crimes? He said, no, because you would understand what's going on with you. When you don't know what's going on with you, you're going to do all kind of crazy stuff. And I met a lot of guys in prison, Vietnam veterans, did a lot of crazy stuff to get there. And just, we didn't have that knowledge. So, you know, a lot of guys in that room that particular day started crying because we knew that our crime that we committed was against innocent people. We didn't have understanding of what was going on. We were just looking for ourselves. And being like that, you know, I started understanding more and more about myself, which now I've seen where I can help other people with it. And when I'm talking to someone, it helps me with my PTSD. I take PTSD counseling now. I just got off a virtual meeting yesterday with a group of guys. I got a psych doctor I see. So I still have it. And but I still want to share what I do have with other people because mental health is a big thing now. It's really, really big. And I want to be a part of it and do a part of it and do what I can with it, you know, help somebody out. Because I was there and I know how the feeling is. And your mothers and your parents who have children, and you know, I say just be humble, let them have what they want, as long as it's not hurting you or them, let them have it. You can got your eye on them, let them have it, let them relax. They're not gonna hurt you or themselves. And I found that to be true. But you have to let them know that you're serious and allowing them to do what they're doing or saying. Don't get mad, oh, Johnny, don't go. No. Just let it out.
Let's see if there are other, thank you, Francis, for that question. Other folks, questions of any sort? Yes, Jane and then Ray, I saw some hands.
Okay, well, I just wanted to ask you a personal question, if you don't mind. What southern state were you from?
South Carolina in the 50s. Total Klan country. KKK, all the way.
And so the interior part or the low country?
The interior part, the interior part of South Carolina? Yeah.
Well, the other thing I wanted to say is that your parents must have done a tremendous job raising you. There were two things that your presentation struck so far, is that one is that the 70s and the 80s, there were programs actually available for prisoners. I remember this, that people became concerned and they were doing positive things. But the second thing is that you were receptive to those things. And that is probably the unusual thing, because you were just saying that don't have an attitude, you know, just take, if they're offering something, then see what it is and take that. And it's just a comment about how how things have changed. I think in some ways we know more, but we're doing less.
That's true. Well,
anyway, compliments to your parents.
Yeah, thank you. God bless their souls. They did a pretty good job for 8 children at the time. But I guess seeing the Ku Klux Klan and when I was a child in the 50s down south, you know, made me have a different outlook on a lot of things back then as a kid growing up.
Sure.
So when I became a young man and was experiencing Vietnam, all these things came back up again, because in Vietnam they didn't care if you live or die. You just want to, you know, do what you just got to do, you know. But then when I came home and I was looking for help, there was none. I mean, there may have been programs, but it sure wasn't any for guys look like me. There wasn't any, and we was looking, because when we got in prison, what happened to you? I was trying to help and no one helped me. Not to say it was one-sided, but back then you look back and experience it at the moment in time, it was one-sided. Some guys got it, some guys didn't. Those who didn't get it, they didn't come to jail. Those who did get it, those who didn't get it came to jail. Those who did get it, they was okay. They became whatever, good people, businessmen, lawyers, doctors, you know. So, you know.
Let's get Ray. Ray? Thank you, Jane.
Mhm.
Ray?
Ramadan, it's nice to see you again.
Yeah.
I really appreciated talking with you. It was a few weeks ago, I think, or several
Yes.
weeks ago. We talked a lot about Bridgewater. Today there was a hearing actually in the state legislature about a bill to transfer Bridgewater from the Department of Corrections to the Department of Mental Health, which you said that you recommended. But I wondered for these folks, and by the way, everybody had a chance to sign on to NAMI's testimony about that. And if you haven't done so, everybody please do. But I wondered if you could share with us, you were at Worcester State Hospital, which is Department of Mental Health, and you were at Bridgewater, which is Department of Corrections. Was there a difference in how people with mental health conditions were treated? Can you give us a sense of that? Because most of us haven't had a chance to go to Bridgewater. Some of us have been to state hospitals, but very
I
few.
lived in them. So yeah. Well, the difference with Worcester State Hospital compared to Bridgewater State Hospital, there was doctors, clinicians take care of the patients there at Worcester State Hospital. So I learned a lot from them of how to handle patients, how to work with patients. When I got to Bridgewater State Hospital in 2009, you had DOC running it. They was telling the clinicians and doctors what a particular patient may need or want, or what they should do, lock them up and things like that. And like when it's like that, DOC, not criticizing them, but what I saw and observed, they didn't really care. That they didn't like the program that came on the line called companion program, because they were saying you're gonna have inmates teaching mentally ill people various things that we can't teach them. They didn't like that, so they made it hard for us initially to get our companion program off the ground. But over time, they've seen the work that we was doing with the various patients there, and they said, "Damn!" A few years went by. "Damn, you guys really know what you're doing. Yeah, well, if you leave us alone, we can do more." And they start letting us alone, and we started doing shows, programs, cookouts, barbecues, a whole lot of things we did in Bridgewater State Hospital. Never happened before. It was the first. And the patients was like asking their clinicians, "I want that to be in that program. I want that guy to be my counselor. I want him to be my companion." And we were serving at least 3 or 4 guys a day, different guys, not the same one we're assigned. We might be assigned to 3 or 4 different guys, as many as we could take. We didn't care. We was trying to help themselves. And a lot of patients there did benefit because they got the help they wanted. The clinicians sit back and watch, the CO sit back and watch, the superintendent says, let them do it, let them inmates who are companions work with these people here. And they did. And I appreciate the opportunity to be working with them, because it was a blessing for them as well as for me, because I learned it was both ways, learning from each other. I learned how to really keep my mouth shut and really, really listen to what they have to say. And that's why I look at myself today with my PTSD. I use some of those thoughts that I got from people back there that helped me be who I am today. And so I appreciate those patients and persons back then who helped me and helped me help myself a little more. So that's how I dealt with my PTSD. I still deal with it today, and I will continue dealing with it.
Ray, did you have a follow-up thought?
No. In other words, I think we just all really need to appreciate how different it is in corrections. And no matter, you've maybe called Bridgewater State Hospital, but it's not a hospital.
Right. And I'll end that with your question that in the 1980s, when Governor Well was elected governor, he came in, he took the mental health field people out of the Bridgewater State Hospital, out of corrections, out of mental health, put it in all corrections. And at the time when he did it, he did save millions of dollars for the state. He really, really did, because it was all one. But now it's costing too much money to have all these places getting all these separate paychecks instead of just one like it should have been. You see what I'm saying? Mental health was mental health, corrections was corrections. I hope that the petition that the legislature that you all are signing get passed to send it back to where it was, as a hospital, so that the clinicians and doctors can really treat these people coming in now. That's what's needed. That's what's needed. My opinion, that's what's needed.
Other questions for Ramadan? Anybody?
Don't be afraid to speak. I love talking.
Well, you know, one observation I would make is just from listening to you describe what it was like caring for people when they let you do it, was the power of allowing inmates to help others.
Yeah.
And because it was not only good for the others, it was good for the inmates.
Yeah.
So everybody benefited.
Exactly.
And then the converse is true. When they clamp down and don't let you do it, you lose the opportunity to help others, and then everybody's getting frazzled.
Yeah. All chaos breaks out then.
So I just want to thank everybody for giving us the opportunity. And I just wanted to be clear, Ramadan said he was coming over here today. He lives here, but he was in Boston with his fiance, and he was on the T coming back here. So he lives here. He's our housemate,
Yeah.
and we're super happy to have him.
40 years of friendship here. 40 years of love. Pure love.
It's good stuff. So
Rich,
yeah,
I just wanted to comment. I was struck by listening to how Ramadan made an alliance with people by listening. And we've had so many programs by like Dr. Emily Klein on motivational interviewing, and we talk about Dr. Amador and his LEAP method. And there's a new system called CRAFT at McLean. It's all about communication. And for some people like Ramadan, that just comes naturally. But you know, for a lot of people, we have to learn about it and be taught about it. But it's a wonderful example.
Thank you. The key to this whole, I think for me, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not any of those. I'm just a regular Joe who have experienced it all in both environments. Outside in the free world, inside in closed up world, and now I'm back outside in the free world. The best thing that any of you can do for your children is to sit down and listen to them and have a regular conversation. A human, regular conversation. Because they don't get that. They do not get that, because I don't know how you treat your children. I'm not trying to say you do them this way or that way, but people who have mental health problems, all they want is love, show me some affection, and spend some time with me. Give me those three things, they'll give you whatever you want. But they gotta feel you, they gotta feel from in here, your heart. They gotta feel that. If they don't feel it, they'll know. Even if your parents, they'll know. If mom is lying, pop's lying, they ain't giving me the stuff I should be feeling. So just open up your heart a little bit more. I know it's a child, open up a little bit more. They'll see it. They'll be saying, hey, Mom, Dad, acting kind of strange. They're giving me time here. What's up with this? They might come and ask, Mom, what's wrong with you and Dad? I mean, you treat me like this 2 months ago. Today, you treat me like this. What happened? You said, well, Johnny, it's you. It's about you, Johnny. It's about you, Mary. Not about me, not about us. It's about you. We want you to be happy. And after a while, they start believing, wow, they're really serious about this. And you'll start getting more out of them. You would ask them to do something, believe me, they would do it. Because you know why? You're giving them love. You're not, you're giving them love. Your son, your daughter, you're supposed to give it to them anyway, but when they're in a situation, mental health issue, you got to give them a little bit more. And they got to feel it.
well, you know, maybe love is a good place to
And this
stop our conversation. I kind of like that. Love's a good spot, eh?
show it to me. Thank you all for listening.
Good,